Welcome everyone to Laurentian Valley Regular Council Meeting, Tuesday, May 20th. We start off with the Lord's Prayer. Anybody wishes to join me can. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Dean, call to order, please.
Move in a second, please.
Alan and Jennifer.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Keogh. Thanks. Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Gauthier, that the regular council meeting of May 20th, 2025 be called to order at 5:30.
All in favor? Carried. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett.
Present?
Reeve Watt.
Present.
Councillor Gauthier.
Present.
Councillor Hewitt.
Present.
Councillor Hughley.
Present.
Councillor King.
Present.
Councillor Wren.
Present.
All members present.
Thanks, Dean. Confirmation agenda. Wendy and Keith.
Moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Reeve Watt, that the agenda of the regular council meeting of May 20th, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Declaration of peculiar interest. See none. Minutes and notes motion for April 15th. Brian and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Hughley, second by Councillor King, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held April 15th, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Motion for May 6th. Alan and Jennifer.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Gauthier, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held May 6, 2025 be accepted by council and that the resolution for that committee become resolutions of council.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, municipal reports, Public Works. Anything for Mark? Nothing to add, Mark? No? Planner, I see Laurie is on TV. Hi, Laurie. Any questions for Laurie? None? Okay. Mayor's report. It was kind of a busy month. As we mentioned before, the warming center is now finished, and I don't believe we'll be involved again. I went to mentioned in there the General Hospital breakfast last Thursday. There's about 100 people there, and it was a chance for the hospital to just inform the public of everything that they do at the hospital. It certainly was a fundraiser to a certain degree, but no money was asked for that day. But it was really good that they provided a lot of information that was kind of eye-opening as far as what actually goes inside the four walls. And, you know, generally when you talk about a hospital, you talk about waiting lists and waiting 6-7 hours and doctor's lists. But, you know, one of the facts that they presented was there's 180 physicians inside General Hospital, which was pretty amazing, and still we're short. But a lot of different departments. It was a very interesting morning, and certainly opened my eyes up a bit to see what goes on there. Any questions for me?
You should acknowledge the chairman of the board, too.
Yes. Yeah.
Wasn't there?
It wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got a motion.
Yes.
Betty and Wendy.
Moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the council received the following reports from mid-April to mid-May at the regular council meeting of May 20th, 2025. A Public Works Manager's report, Planner CMC report, and a Mayor's report.
All in favor? Carried. No plan meeting. Business. Motion to authorize agreement. No? Sorry.
We're under planning. Is that what you said, no business? Is that what you're reading?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my mistake, okay.
So
Board number
River
two.
Point, Laurie, subdivision?
Yes, so we have received a request from River Point subdivision, also known as TMM, for a pre-servicing agreement to allow them to get doing certain works ahead of the final approval for the subdivision. In terms of this would be, again, works that have been reviewed and approved, and it would be secured by the pre-servicing agreement, which is similar to the subdivision agreement. It's just not the full of the process yet. And this also allows them to phase some of those works and ties in with how they would phase their securities. It's been reviewed. It would be the similar process to what we followed for both Kirkland subdivision and Traxton subdivision, and it seems to be becoming more of a common request. We're still working towards the subdivision agreement, which we're actually not too far off on. The reason that they partly wanted to have this ahead of the final approval is related to some of the other items that they do have to deal with before final approval. And sometimes there's a little extra time with securing those clearances with some of the utilities. And then also just in terms of some of the other easements, they may need to continue to negotiate. So this allows them to get, right away breaking the ground. And we anticipate, again, we'll have that back for signage with them very shortly. And again, there's not, the form is very much the same as the ones that were provided previously for council that we did enter into with the other two. And Sheldon Reiki, our solicitor, is just finalizing the drafting of that.
Okay, any questions from council for Laurie? Brian?
At one point, they were talking or hoping to get shovels in the ground this year. What's the timeline now or the projection?
Well, that's why this is the pre-servicing agreement. So basically, as soon as we have this signed, which we would actually anticipate within, a couple of weeks, we would have that agreement signed and their securities in place that they would be breaking the ground to get some of those works done ahead.
But what about lots for sale?
Maybe I can comment. I did have a conversation with one of the principals today. He was asking some questions, and I just happened to speak to him, and he said that they are hoping to get in the ground to do the servicing starting July 1st. That's their anticipation date of start doing some of the groundworks, and they said they have been selling properties at this point. He didn't say how many, but he said they have sold a few. So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? No? Motion? Brian and Keith?
Moved by Councillor Ugly, second by Reeve Watt, that council supports the request to enter a pre-servicing agreement for the River Point subdivision and authorizes the mayor and the CAO to enter into the pre-servicing agreement with TMM Pembroke Inc. for River Point subdivision 47T 23,007 to be drafted by the township solicitor and forwards bylaw number 2025-05022 as presented to the bylaw portion of May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting for passing.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, Laurie, move down to the development charges study.
Okay, yes. So we did put out for an RFP to do the development charges study update because our current one does expire in September. We did receive two proposals back. One was from Watson and Associates, and the other was from Hempson. They are the two firms within Ontario that seem to be the ones doing the studies now. We didn't receive any others during that time frame. So in my report, you'll see that they were fairly close, but the difference between the two was that Watson had indicated they could do it within the time frame that we had set out, and they were the lower price. And the thing, though, when we did do the budgeting process in the fall, the treasurer did include the $30,000 estimate, which was based on what we had seen of similar studies for similar municipalities in the range at that time. Now, it did come in at $36,790,000, not including HST. Now, again, it was included, the $30,000 was included in the budget, and some of that will be funded through raised through taxation levy through the budget process, and then some will come out of the reserves that we have been collecting development charge funds for over the years towards future studies.
Okay, any questions? Keith?
So at one point, Laurie, you mentioned that there are still some changes to come through from planning yet. What is the time frame for Watson to do this, and would those changes, if they come through, be in time before the study is finished?
Okay, so in terms of, some of the changes with the Development Charges Act, as with the Planning Act, this was just dropped last week by the province. So we're still in the process of, figuring out the full implications. Most of it for development charges seems to be more on when you collect them, but they would have to incorporate if those come into play, they would have to incorporate that within the time frame. And the time frame they were committing to was that they would be able to have the new bylaw in place, in September for when our others expire. I have heard that the current legislation did have second reading, so the direction the province has been moving with some of that legislation has been very swift. Even if they put out for comment, it's often been boom. The more recent ones that's passed right after. So again, we're a little bit at the whim of the province with that. But the other thing that we're still waiting for some clarification on is if there is the opportunity to extend the bylaw at all. And I still hadn't heard back from municipal affairs. There had been that suggestion, but we're just not sure if it means that you could extend it, but we'd have to remove any categories that would no longer be eligible, or if the current one would be able to live on for a little bit longer. The thing that we do want to make sure that we do capture in our development charges study update, though, are as we do have some commitments related to some of the works in the East End and related to extending servicing also as part of the MTO project, that if there's any part of those projects that we can fund through development charges, that we want to make sure that we do capture that with some of the developments that'll be moving forward in that East End.
So one additional question. Anybody applying for a building permit after September 1, if that's the due date, they're going to be facing the new development charges, if there are any, at that point? Or how does that work?
Yes, that's correct. It would be the new development charges that would be in place. Now, what will happen is, again, the study will be done and will provide what the maximum eligible that council could deem to pass in the bylaw. But again, there are some decision points where council could choose to collect less than what the maximum allowable will be. And the focus of this is going to be as well on projects that indeed we actually will be doing, and it's just the growth related component of that. So it's, sometimes there's a misunderstanding with the development charges that it's money collected for things that are never done, but that's certainly not the case. We are including things that then get included in the capital budget. There's some times where one road might be switched for another, but again, they're only things that will be done, and we can certainly, there'll be a public meeting and there'll be scrutiny of that, and there is that opportunity for appeals and that type of things. So the development community would always be a part of this process as well too, and as in the past, they were specifically sent out the information ahead of time so they could provide input.
Thank you.
Brian, go ahead.
So seeing it's a revision instead of a total rewrite, is there any chance that this could be done in-house and stay within budget?
Okay, so it's not a revision. They expire, so you have to do a new study prior to a new development charges bylaw. It's the way that it works. It was every 5 years. Now it will be every 10 years leading from that. And based on the changes that have been undergone and based on workload in-house, like I don't have the capacity to be able to complete a whole new study by September. And we have been collecting development charge funds towards studies through the years as well too, so that those funds would be available for that.
Okay, anybody else? I'm sorry?
I wasn't suggesting that she would have the time for it.
No, I know. That's why we heard somebody.
There is a bit of an expertise there too, like it's not just come in and point numbers, right? And these two players are the big players in the fields.
Okay, we have a motion.
Yes.
Jennifer and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Gauthier, second by Councillor King, that council authorize the staff to proceed with the award of the Laurentian Valley Development Charge Study 2025 project to Watson Associates in the amount of $36,790 plus HST.
All in favor? Carried. Move down to information items. Laurie, do you want to comment on Project Ontario?
Certainly. I guess I can just to kind of flow out of the discussion we touched on with the development charges is that yes, once again, there is some new legislation that kind of came out, kind of catching us a little bit off guard again. It's called the Building Faster and Smarter Act. There are changes that are coming related to development charges. Again, as I kind of hinted at, some of it's talking about occupancy potentially as opposed to building permit. Initial time for collection, that's just one kind of highlight. But there's also some other discussion about standardizing some official plan language for certain designations. Again, we don't really all fully understand yet what that means, and hope that more information is going to come. There were some briefing notes that I had attached as well that were able to be downloaded from the press release. But again, as with some of the other legislation that's come out, there hasn't been a lot of discussion beforehand, and then we're all kind of playing catch up, and sometimes even to ask our normal municipal affairs counterparts. They're just being briefed as we speak as well too. So, hopefully there'll be some more guidance coming out on this, but it is a little bit overwhelming sometimes of late, where the legislation is changing as fast as we're able to kind of try to read it and digest it.
Al?
So our municipality is going to push back to the minister on any place where they're going to reduce what fees the municipality are able to collect in development charges moving forward? Because it sounds like through his letter that's kind of one of the main things that they're going to do is reduce the development charges. And if they do, how do we upgrade our already aging infrastructure if the province then is going to curtail what we're able to collect?
Yeah, and if I may, some of the things that I've seen seem to hint that they are understanding some of that, and that some of that offset might come back from the province. But what that actually looks like, again, it's the devil in the details. So I would, yes, suggest that, we do need to provide even some preliminary high-level comments back where there is the opportunity for feedback. And there are some timeframes that are still open, how far they'll be considered. And I'm certain that AMO is also sending those kind of comments, backing, because it's been a recurring theme that we still need that infrastructure for growth. And I just hope that the offset is an actual offset of funds and not a competitive, again, applying.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate the province pushes back on the municipalities as being the one that are causing the delay in building homes and the whole bit, when they're just as much to blame as anybody else. So I think we do need to push back again on this one.
It just seems that they're putting so much, they come up with, as you said, so much information, and some of it really doesn't make any sense, or it's kind of hard to read between the lines on a lot of it, and I just don't know when they're going to stop. They just go from one subject to another, but we'll have to plow our way through it. Any other questions for Laurie? Okay, seeing none, there's no motions there, right, Dean? We'll go down to a motion on OSPCA. I think that's Laurie.
Did we do the second one? Did we do?
Well,
You want to comment on both, Laurie, or are you done with the bill?
Yes, we just, they actually are related. The first one was the letter from the minister that came through Mayor Bennett. And so that does provide links for some of the Arrow holdings. And then the second, that was the briefing that provides a bit of a summary on it that we were able to upload. We had to separate them, unfortunately, because they come as protected documents, so we couldn't merge them into one.
Okay.
that's what I thought. Okay, Laurie, Dennis, please. Thanks, Laurie.
Good evening. So before you is a request to have the OSPCA contract extension. Our current agreement was a 4-year term commencing July 1st, 2020 and expiring June 30th, 2024. And just to clarify, in the package, I know the document shows it as being 2023, but it was rectified, clarified that it was actually 2024. 4-year term brought it to 2024. And last year in July, we had extended that contract for another year. The contract does allow 2 one-year extensions under Section 2. So this would be the second extension for this current contract. So again, it was just to continue the contract with them, and the rates are CPI indexed as well, so they do go up as the year fluctuates with the CPI.
Okay, questions, council? If not, get a motion? Keith and Brian?
Moved by Reeve Watt, second by Councillor Ugly, that council approves a one-year contract extension of pound keeping services for the municipality with the Ontario SPCA for the 2025-2026 year ending June 30th, 2026.
All in favor? Carried. Second, Laurie, is the opposition, Strong Mary Powers.
Yeah, so as council will recall, at the last meeting, we had discussed the strong mayor powers that the province had put in effect May 1st. And from that, it was decided that a motion be brought forward to express the council's wishes to ask to be reversed that ability through the legislation for the Township of Laurentian Valley. So that's what's before you, is that copy of that recommendation. And should that be approved, then a letter would go to the minister's office, as well as our MPP and the county warden, AMO, and alike. So.
Okay, Alan, you start.
Well, I just want to thank staff for bringing it forward, and I'm fully prepared to move this motion moving forward.
Wendy?
I'd like to second that motion, please.
Okay. Now, Reeve Watt brought attention to myself last week that Renfrew had brought in a lawyer from Aird and Bayless. It's under Renfrew's council meeting of May the 13th. I did take a look at it on the weekend. It's a very in-depth, the lawyer went through over an hour, just explaining all the different parts of it. I was still kind of lost at the end of it, but then I'm going to let Dean, unless you want to comment on it, Keith, or Dean, I want you to maybe bring council up to date on what you sent out today.
Okay. I don't know, Keith, you want to comment first, or?
I take that one.
Yeah.
So going through that, and it does take time to go step by step. The thing is, the province has said we do have strong mayor portions. There's so many changes in there that, for example, our budget, our procedure for budget meetings. Typically, that's one that is going to have the mayor, so he can still ask staff to go through and do that, but at the end, council will not be voting on it. It'll be it's the mayor's budget. So things like that, our own procedures may have to be updated down the road as we become more familiar with it. There's several other changes there that are very similar to that, and we have those powers whether we want them or not. We don't actually have to use them, I suppose, but you can't negate having that power. It's been assigned, we have it, and that's it, plain and simple. I guess my concern is, for this council, it probably isn't going to be a problem at all in looking at it, but if something changes, you get a new mayor, then maybe it could spoil the bunch. If, say, something happened, the mayor wasn't here, and we had a deputy mayor or somebody else step in, those strong powers don't exist. It has to be an elected official for the mayor who has that power. So.
Right. And also, if I can just ask, I believe from what I got from it, this is right now in the municipal act, Dean?
Yes.
My understanding is it's in the municipal act.
That's
so
right.
You can't go against municipal act unless you come out with resolutions or whatever. But again, I still think it's early to start commenting more on it until we actually get.
No, and I think there's a lot of stuff coming at us, right? I mean, it's coming left, right, and center. I just sent you out another session that Municipal Affairs is putting out for members. There's 2 different dates. You can certainly, I encourage you to register and be part of that, to listen. It is certainly, you know, exposing itself, and things may change as to exactly as Reeve Watt has put it. Like, right now, there doesn't seem to be an ability for us to say, no, we do not want to take it away from us. That doesn't seem to be there. I mean, we do have control as to how it's used, in the sense if the mayor, you know, wishes not to use them, then that's up to him. And council will have, and Laurie can comment, she's done a bit, certainly more work than I'm aware of at this point. And there's different ways where, you know, there's certain things where you can challenge it, but yet it's not a motion or something. Laurie, you were telling me today, like the way you put it, that was well explained. Anyway, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, so there's the revoking power
Yeah.
as well. So there's, if it's written in the bylaw, and this might affect some planning bylaws where it's now called deemed to be passed, not passed anymore. They're deemed to be passed because there's a two-day window where it can be revoked by the mayor, if you chose that you wanted to do that. So that can change the timing with the Planning Act, I believe, too, as well. Laurie would be able to consult more on the timeframes. But if there's a bylaw that's deemed to be passed, it's not passed, it's deemed to be passed. So there is a section in other municipalities that have put the wording right in the bylaw to say that, you know, in essence, that the mayor does not plan to revoke, and this is now passed, so to speak. So
right in the
there is
resolution.
right in the bylaw. So now it is passed. So that's something I've looked at, and there was a few other things like the mayoral decisions, you know, whether or not you want to delegate certain things back to council. In my report last meeting, it showed, there was a chart that showed that which ones you can delegate, which ones you cannot. So there's all that to be worked out and ironed out as well.
Al?
But I still have the feeling that the province is trying to take power away from the rest of council. And I believe this is the first step going down that road. And if we don't speak now, then like forever hold our peace. And I think now is the time where we have to push back and say, no, we as a municipality do not agree with this. Go back to the drawing board. It's not right. Keith said earlier, we're lucky in this council and the council that's sitting around here right now. There would never be an issue that would move forward, never have a problem. It takes one election and you can ruin an entire municipality. And all we need to do is look around Ontario and some of the issues that are happening in municipalities today. And if the mayors had that kind of power today, God forbid what's going to happen to those municipalities. So I am totally against this. I think that the province has made a huge mistake here, I think. And it's the first step in going down to taking all of the control away from the people sitting around this table who have been duly elected to represent our constituents.
And certainly, I agree with that, and yeah, we're fortunate, we have a great council right now, and certainly I have, you can put me on record that I have no interest in changing the decisions of council right now. So we do still have a year and a half to make sure that by the end of the day, Dean and Laurie do their homework, brings it back to council. I encourage council to watch that video that's coming up. Dean, I thought maybe one of the days we could pick that, I know they encourage people to do it together, so not as many people are on, so maybe council, maybe we could have it set up here, if council members want to come here, not as a meeting, but just to see it, because they're trying to discourage every individual to get on there. It's going to be too overwhelming. But
So maybe based on that theme, if everybody could respond to me or Laurie, and just say, my preference is to do it this date, then even if we have to set up 2 sessions, we can. I mean, that's okay, you know, half wants to come one, half the other. I mean, if we can do it all one, that's fine too, but we'll get it into the chambers. We've both registered ourselves there, Laurie and I, and I think we picked the June one, eh? Yeah, so the June one, but if anybody wants the May one, then,
This is Monday morning at 10.
yeah, at 10, yeah,
so I won't bother registering. I'll just come Monday morning at 10.
which, yeah.
Or do I, because I can't register, then I.
No, that's fine, if you don't want to
Okay.
register, but if somebody wants, other than the June date, and I can't remember the other date, it was
It was
May.
June 2nd and May 29th.
So if anybody,
But
June
they-
2nd, it will run here. Yeah.
Yes,
3 to
they were
4,
different
3 to
times,
4.
4 to 5, wasn't it?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, so you can let council.
If somebody
let
wants
the-
that May 29th, then we need to know, we'll register for that one too, but if everybody wants June 2nd, then we'll be here doing it on the 2nd.
Okay,
Okay, all right, okay, okay.
alrighty, so
Okay.
we have a motion.
Yeah, motion, please.
Alan and Wendy.
Yeah, right, okay, it's, that council of the moved by, Councilor Wren, second by Councilor Hewitt, that council of the corporation Township of Laurentian Valley expresses its desire to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to reverse the grant of strong mayor's powers to the Township of Laurentian Valley, and that the letter be circulated to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing Rob Flack, Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke MPP Billy Dano, and the Associated Municipalities of Ontario, AMO.
All in favor? Carried. Mark, sanitary lift station, please.
Good evening, everyone. Report tonight is looking for an approval and a recommendation to have a municipal class environmental assessment and MECA completed for the required sanitary lift station as part of the Highway 148 project. As council is aware, as part of the Ministry of Transportation Highway 148 reconstruction project, the township has committed to extending municipal services from Robinson Lane through to Drive-In Road, and that includes our municipal water, sanitary sewer, and due to the elevation of the sanitary sewer, a sanitary lift station is required. Then it would be at the corner of Drive-In Road and Highway 148. The location that was picked is a piece of property outside of the road allowance that is owned by MTO, that they would let us construct the lift station there and house it, and then that land would transfer as part of the road works. When we originally looked at it, and MTO was considering the lift station to be kind of a separate piece or separate part from their overall reconstruction project. And at that time, we were looking at about a $700,000 price tag to have that piece of infrastructure put in. So we were kind of looking at it as sort of as a phase two, where we would get the water and sewer lines extended to drive in, the water would function, and some sanitary wouldn't work unless we had the lift station. Through some ongoing negotiations and discussions, and maybe one of the benefits from the project delaying is we kept the communication lines open a little bit longer, and MTO has come back and said to us, if we want, we can lump the lift station that's required into the main contract, so it's all part of one contract, and then infrastructure gets put in right away for us. We have negotiated with the price, and we've kind of built it into that lump sum that we're getting for all of the other infrastructure as well. And so I think it's a good time and benefit to us. It's we're getting a better deal and getting the infrastructure that we need, so that sewer line works right away. For certain construction projects, the environmental assessment is required. And what was kind of a little bothersome with this is that the water and sewer line infrastructure, because they were within the road allowance, were exempt from needing the study. But because the lift station is on lands that are privately owned and aren't deemed to be road allowance, we have to go through this process for the lift station only. So the sidewalks, all our other infrastructure is exempt from it, but the environmental assessment is required just because of location and what's involved with the lift station. We have talked with Parsons, who is MTO's project engineer, and they've done some design work and some of the background work on this. They figure it would take about 2 months to complete the environmental assessment. They're hoping, because in some of the initial reports and studies that went out, they did reference it, so they can kind of, some of the notification and first steps, they think they can bypass that, because they can say we've already satisfied that requirement because we had noted that we were going to build this infrastructure. So we're hoping we can bring that time frame in a little bit, in less than a couple of months, to move the process forward. The cost for Parsons to complete the work is $18,720. The overall cost for the project, and I'm sure council's aware, we've talked about this lots, is it's a $1.55 million commitment from the municipality for the infrastructure that's there, including the sidewalks. And the idea would be the additional money to complete the MCEA of the almost $20,000 would be added to the debenture loan at the end of the project.
Alan?
So does this become part of our 1.55 million, or this is over and above that,
It would be over.
It'd be over.
over and above?
I mean, 18,000.
Yeah, the 18,000 would be. It's just something we have to do to be able to do this. It's unfortunate, but it's not part of the actual program. Like, it has nothing to do with the contract. It's separate from the contract.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's getting expensive.
it is.
Brian?
So you say that the pumping station is on private lands, but you also said the pumping station's on MTO land.
Well,
And so it's not dedicated as road allowance, so it's a separate parcel of land. We tried different ways to spin it, but because they haven't gone through a process to dedicate it as road allowance, it's deemed to be a separate property. Same as, I'll say, the municipal office here is adjacent to a township road, but it's not road allowance. So because it's on a separate property, not deemed as road allowance.
But this would be going in the property that was purchased for the turning lane, so a portion of this property is going to be now road allowance, is it not?
At some point, but the legal portion where this was going was always, I guess, to be transferred to us as a separate property, and it wouldn't be deemed as what road allowance would be.
I think you remember at one time he was saying property's worth 300,000 or whatever, but now they're gonna deed it to us as well.
Yeah, similar to our Hamilton Street pumping station, where it's on a separate property that's adjacent to the road, but it's just the way it's assessed and classed, it's a separate portion from the road allowance. So, yeah, we were back and forth with Parsons and MTO and trying different ways to spin it to save it, because it was, if we would have sort of thought that this was going to be part of it, we would have gone through this process a long time ago, so we would have had this ready, but it was sort of going to be something that we were going to do this lift station after, and it was, a $700,000 extra that just was a lot when we were looking at about that $1.5 million at one point. So, but when MTO offered to put it in the package and gave us a better reduced rate package deal, it became sort of beneficial for us to do it now and have it taken care of.
So we're still at the million for the lines, and now 550 for the pumping station.
Yes, yes.
Plus 18,000.
Plus
Plus
18,000.
18,000.
But if we hadn't made the agreement now to get the pumping station there, it would have been 700 plus.
Well, they were saying
down.
that was the estimate, yeah. It was just
Okay.
over.
Brian? I'm sorry, Keith. Keith and then Brian.
So on Hamilton Street, you have a structure over top of the lift.
Yes.
Does this money the cost you're sharing now include the structure over and above, or will we have to add that after?
No, so the overall cost to MTO, the 1.55 million, includes that infrastructure as well. This one wouldn't be the same as Hamilton Street. It'd be more like the Indian Court in Brewham, where it's a large vault with pumps in the ground. So aside from generator and some controls, there's very little that you'd see. You'd see a lid for the basin on top of the ground, but most of the infrastructure is all underground. You wouldn't see it.
Okay.
Excuse me, Brian.
So what is the scope or the intent of the study? So it's $18,500 for the study, and when the study's completed, will there be additional or the potential for additional works based on what the study says, or is it just something to say that we've ticked that box and we move on from there? Like, what's...
Yeah, I guess there could be some potential mitigation would come, but I don't know. And just talking with MTO and with Parsons, I think it's a pretty standard cut and dry. It's just a process we're going through. There's a public information session. Like, maybe I could see a neighbor would want some cedar hedges or a buffer or something, so they don't have to look at a vault in the ground. So, I mean, I could see maybe something like that coming back as a mitigation matter from from a neighboring property owner. But I don't foresee anything. It's more just following a process that's identified through the Class CA process.
Anybody else? Have a motion? Keith? Betty?
Moved by Reeve Watt, second by Councillor King, that the Township Council approves the completion of the municipal class environmental assessment for the sanitary lift station as part of the Highway 148 reconstruction project and awards the work to Parsons in the amount of $18,720 plus HST.
All in favor? Carried. Clerk will move down to the Housing Enabled Core Center, Robinson Lane. Is that you? No,
Yeah,
that's
so
not-
no, that's basically,
Chris, right?
yeah, it's Chris. Chris is away. However, this is, we're just entering into an agreement with the province to be able to accept our funds and proceed on with the works with regards to Robinson Lane, which is basically some, as it states there, so we're redoing the roadway as well as 100 meters being added to the roadway. And there's also, we're gonna be removal of the roadside ditches along 1.1 kilometers of roadway to install the storm sewer, 550 meters of sidewalk, all on Robinson Lane, so that's where the funds are gonna go to.
So what will happen when you, if you start at Home Depot, come down to the corner and like in front of Home Depot, or in front of Tim Hortons, there's a big ditch there.
Yeah.
So that's all gonna be enclosed.
I don't know about the
How far
Tim
down?
Hortons side, I don't know exactly the Tim Hortons side, but along getting down to that point, right at the, obviously there's the pond at the bottom end.
Right.
So we're not filling in the pond by any stretch.
no.
So it'll be just sidewalks and kinda coming down there, and any roadside ditches will be technically filled in and put level, and put storm sewer in them.
So there will be a sidewalk on that side of the road.
Yes, well, I anticipate, Mark, do you know that for sure, there are two sides to the sidewalk?
Yeah, so originally the thought was sidewalk on one side of the road. But as we've kind of gone through some of the developments going in behind and what's going on, that this is going to become sort of a main artery that's going to access a lot of development. So now the proposal with the cross section is to have sidewalks on both sides of the road. So that's, you've got the commercial on the one side, residential on the other, and then with the potential sports complex and all the other things that are potentially going on in behind. So the idea being put forward is sidewalk on both sides.
So just to finish that then, so the sidewalk, we would put in before any development happened at that corner? Or we're not coming down
No.
that far?
We were coming down and we would come to a certain point and then MTO will come up to the other point. They'll make their circle radius and then we'll hook up to them. But I mean, well, I shouldn't say, I'd like to think MTO will be done first, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, so we've, and I'm not sure if Chris put in here, but the start date, we did move back. We have like, I think it's 4 or 5 years or something to spend
okay,
this money.
Yeah.
So we did change the times. I know I did send Chris some information that we delayed it by, I think, 2 years. I think we're 2026, I think was maybe, or 27 was our start date. So MTO can get all of their work done, have their sidewalks, sort of radius around the corner, and then we'll pick up there and we'll transition through. And then if some of the other development has started, that's going on beyond Robinson Lane, then they'll pick up some of that works as well. So some of the costs for this project are borne by one of the developers. The 100-meter extension is actually within one of the subdivisions. So there is some cost to one of the developers and some cost sharing that will pick up some of the overall project price for the works to be done.
Okay, thank you. Alan?
So, we've agreed now to sidewalks down 148, now we're putting sidewalks up Robinson Lane. Have we any plan in place on, in the wintertime, how we're going to maintain these sidewalks? They're a long piece away from here. Are we gonna look at trying to get somebody else to do them? Or we should, at some point, put a plan in place on how we plan on maintaining these moving forward?
Maybe just to comment, I know we've had some conversations, obviously, with the neighboring municipality, but we'll circle back with that one as well. But failing that, I would think it's probably, at this point, it's probably gonna be for a little while yet, is doing a third-party contractor to maybe do that for us, unless we go down the path of doing it. But right now, just for that minimal amount of sidewalk, probably not gonna justify us getting another person and machine and traveling stuff. So I think that's something to look at. We're not quite there, but we will be addressing that for sure.
I know the mayor and myself did discuss this with a couple of employees in that municipality, and they said that they would be no problem for them to take care of it. but we did hear from somebody, an elected official, that said, ain't gonna happen.
No, so we'll see when we get to that point.
Yeah, I would assume at the end of the day, if it's like, whether it's the fire truck or whatever, if we're gonna, give some money towards their equipment or their wages, I'm sure we could make it a deal. Probably still, not quite sure how many more years we are away, but I'm sure we'll work something out. Okay, so, what's up?
I need a motion to enter that agreement.
Okay, Jennifer and Alan.
Moved by Councillor Goche, second by Councillor Wren, that the Council of Township of Laurentian Valley enter into an agreement with the Province of Ontario and the Ministry of Infrastructure under the Housing Enabling Core Servicing Fund to undertake the Robinson Lane Reconstruction Project in Laurentian Valley, and that bylaw 2025-05020 as presented be forwarded to the bylaw portion of the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting for enactment.
All in favor? Okay. Bylaws?
All right, need a mover and a seconder, please.
Wendy and Brian.
Moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Hughley, that the following bylaws be enacted and passed and be read a first, second, and third time, and be numbered and signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in this bylaw book the 20th day of May 2025. Bylaw 2025-05019, zoning bylaw amendment Z 2025-02 Schuneman. Bylaw 2025-05020, to authorize the entering into an agreement between the Province of Ontario and the Ministry of Infrastructure under the Housing Enabling Core Servicing Fund to undertake the Robinson Lane Reconstruction Project in Laurentian Valley. Bylaw 2025-05021, dedicated gas tax bylaw. Bylaw 2025-05022, to authorize the mayor and the CAO to enter into a pre-servicing agreement with TMM Pembroke Inc. for 47T 23007 River Point subdivision.
So what is section E there, bylaw approval motion? Is that something that just is in there?
Yeah, I don't know what that, I'm not sure what that one is. Sorry, in the agenda, that's crossed out.
Okay.
We're getting ready for another one, but we didn't quite get there.
No, I just curious, I'm missing something or whatever.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. Council acknowledgements. Brian.
Yesterday, Shady Nook had a work bee on Holiday Monday. We had 14 people show up at Shady Nook yesterday, and we assembled all of the new soccer nets, which are regulation size, and they have wheels on them so they can be moved by one person cutting the grass. The old nets, one of them, one set of them, Rockwood Public School, the only school in our municipality, the home and school were doing fundraising for soccer nets, and we were able to, I took one set over to them yesterday, so they now have, they have to clean them up and do some work on them, but one set went there, the other set's up for grabs, and maybe Pleasant View or Forest Lee might, neither one of them have soccer, so if they're looking for them, they
Yeah, for sure.
they need a little work, but we've got new ones, and we're all set for soccer at Shady Nook for a big season there now. So,
Betty, do you want to check with Benita maybe and see?
I'm going to reach out to Benita. Is there a cost for those, Brian?
no, and I'll deliver them.
Okay, I'll reach out to Benita and I'll get back to you.
All right, thank you. Great to see people coming out to help out, especially on Holiday Monday. Anything else for council? Oh, seeing none. Note and file.
Move and seconder, please.
Jennifer and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Goche, second by Councillor King, that any item not specifically addressed by motion of council in the regular meeting of May 20th, 2025 be noted and filed accordingly.
All in favor? Carried. Confirmatory bylaw. Keith and Alan.
Moved by Reeve Watts, second by Councillor Wren, be it resolved that the Council of Township of Laurentian Valley approves confirmatory bylaw 2025-05023 as having been introduced, read a first, second, and third time, and the said bylaw be numbered and signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with seal of the corporation this 20th day of May 2025.
All in favor? Carried. Adjournment. Jennifer, Betty?
Moved by Counselor Goche, second by Counselor King, that the regular council meeting of May 20th, 2025 be adjourned at 6:20.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everybody.